episode 50.
Welcome to Into the 99, where we have 99 cards, because Commander's number 1, and I am one of your hosts, Brian.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Hope. And today we are introducing a new member of Into the 99 podcast. We are proud to present, Zach.
Hi, I'm Zach of the Into the 99 podcast.
What's up? So I just figured that since this is Zach's first episode, and by I mean we, figured that maybe, Zach, you could tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to be one with us, a little bit about your Magic history, and then we can get into crushing this deck.
Yeah, there's a deck check coming
sure.
up, sorry.
Don't worry about it, guys.
So, I'm Zach. I am actually from the United States. I'm not a Canadian resident yet. And I found you guys through a different Discord channel. I played a random game with Brian, and I talked about how, I wanted to do this kind of stuff, making deck techs and doing videos. And the first deck that I actually made the first deck I actually made an article for with you guys was the deck I played against Brian, which was my... oh God,
Your
I'm
death
blanking
touch
on
guy,
names.
Chavez? No?
Yeah,
Chevelle?
my Chevelle.
Cheville, yes.
Yeah, my Chevelle Band of Monsters, which was actually my Craven, the Hunter deck.
Cool.
So that's how I met you guys, and it just kind of snowballed from there, where I was making articles, and Brian was like, "Oh, these are good."
We're like,
Hope was
hey, we
"Oh,
like
these
you.
are good."
We like you, Zach.
Well, yeah, it turned out that you just meshed really well with the group. You had a lot of similar ideas for videos and everything like that. So we definitely wanted to
It's like,
get
why
some more work.
why not work together? And then all of a sudden it was just like, yo, be our guy.
And we got to at least make
And-
one person's dream come true, right?
Yeah. It makes him sound like he's a Make-A-Wish kid.
Suddenly I'm the guy, and here I am.
Hi, guys. I'm Zach, live from the hospital bed.
Oh my god.
I lived in a bubble for a very short period of time, so
Wait, you're the bubble
we could
boy?
use that.
I've heard about you.
Yeah.
I saw a movie about you.
Not as cool hair though. Like my hair was not nearly as cool as that bubble boy's. But yeah, it's whatever. My lungs just didn't, function right for the first almost year of my life.
I mean, it just sounds like that's not it's whatever. It sounds like that was horrible.
It sounds like that's definitely a big whatever. Not a not whatever.
That's fair.
Well, we're glad you're doing great.
Yeah, we're glad that you're still alive.
So, Zach,
Yeah.
what set did you start playing in? Because I think you mentioned that you played a lot of Legacy previously. So when did your Magic career begin?
So my Magic career began right around Magic Core Set 2010, which doesn't really line up with as much Legacy as I've played, but that's when I started playing. I came in at the very end of the Shards block, right around the beginning of Core 2010, and it was just kind of like a random thing to happen. One of my buddies I'd been playing different card games with, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. We kind of reconnected, and he's like, "Hey,
And
have
he
you ever
activated
played
your trap
Magic?"
card?
You said what?
I said, and he activated your trap card.
Do you have a boo on that button?
I was very bad at Yu-Gi-Oh.
One second, sorry here. Just
Wow.
you deserve that one, Hope.
Okay. Sorry, you were bad at Yu-Gi-Oh. I think everyone is.
So we were reconnecting, and I bought my first pack, which was Magic 2010. I still remember I opened a foil of Johnny Goldmane, and I was like, "Oh, this card seems cool." Didn't really understand. Yeah, it was looking back now, that's like a really cool thing to happen. But that's where I started, and from there, just like many other people, I was playing like tabletop Magic, and then we started to go to the shops more frequently and found out, Standard was a thing. And when I really started playing Standard, it wasn't until a while later when the whole Zendikar block happened. So I was getting to play during a really interesting time in Magic, where you had Stoneforge, Jace, and Gideon.
I talk all the time about Zendikar being one of my favorite sets because it was just, you're right, it's such an exciting one.
Yeah. OG Zendikar, oof.
Give me them expeditions.
Rise of the Eldrazi.
And I was the kind of finances I do now to to buy cards. So like the decks I were playing were like super silly. Like I tried to make blue white level up decks a thing, and I had a few successful games, but like when you're playing against Gideon and Jace, and it just didn't work. And the standard that evolved into was like Call Blade, and we had swords everywhere. So it was a really, really fun time. And I say even to this day, like when Standard has Baneslayer Angel in it, it's the best form of Standard.
That's true.
Like that was like the card for the longest time. That was like the most expensive card that I had seen was Baneslayer Angel, because it got to be so expensive during like Core Set 2010.
I think it's so crazy that they would put it Baneslayer in and then also be like Elder Gargaroth. Just cause white can't have anything.
You know what? It's because of nobody plays Standard anymore. So.
That's fair. It's for Commander players.
It was a much simpler time. But yeah, so I played Standard for a very long time, and that got to be kind of boring. So we started playing Extended, which is kind of what Modern is now. And I was playing like a really janky like Merfolk deck, because like that's just the tribe that my buddies were playing, and I was already playing blue white, so I was like, oh, I'll do that. And that just kind of evolved into me kind of playing Commander indirectly. We were playing Commander before it was Commander, it was EDH.
Before it was cool.
We were, so before we had precons. So when the precons came out, it was like a big deal for us. And I had all the precons, and that's where I kind of found like my love for Magic, because I wasn't very good at most 60 card formats, but Commander, I could build themes, and because something is like thematic, it just always seemed to function better for me.
Go ahead, Toby.
Sorry, I was gonna say that lends to a level of creativity that you definitely have, like as a person, and I think that like really is supportive to like that type of person. Like I know that's why I really like it. One of the reasons I like it, I think that's one of the reasons that Daniel's good at deck brewing, is because he's a creative. Like there are things like that like it just really, really works in that level. And also like in Standard, and even in like what you would like at the time would have been like an Extended or Modern format, like it is quite limiting. Whereas in Commander, it's just like you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whatever cards you want.
Yeah, it's such a huge pool. Like the banned card list is so small. Like we've talked about it before. For anyone who's listened, Primeval Titan shouldn't be on the list. Cyclonic Rift should. But other than that, like it's a pretty good.
Yeah, cry about it some more.
I will.
It has to at least be brought up once per episode.
Till I die. Real talk. I want Prime Titan.
That was kind of the thing for me too, was that like, so we started playing Commander, and like I was already playing in Extended, which was an older format, so I had a larger card pool. But once I got to Commander, it was like their card pool was insane, and it was just like it made everything so much more fun. It was like, I didn't even know these cards existed. Like I used to spend hours on Gatherer just like looking up zombie cards. Like my first Commander deck was like the one that I built first was Threxamundar, and it was just Grixis zombies. It was very, very bad because I had no clue what I was doing. But I remember like being on Gatherer and I typed in zombie and just, oh, that's a cool card. Oh, that one has Snowwalk. I don't know what that means, but I want to use that. And that's
that has Snowwalk. That'll certainly be effective.
Right.
At the time, probably was.
Maybe. It could potentially be now. A lot of people will just like randomly throw snowlands into decks from like Modern Horizons and stuff.
Sometimes people like that flex.
Yeah, that would be hysterical if you like just walked over their lands because they tried to get like
try to double their mana with only having snowlands.
Well,
you can eat the zombie.
I can't stand people that will split the lands of basic land, like a normal basic land, and then have snowlands in the same deck and they don't match. Like I don't understand those.
I don't match my basics, but like if a deck's gonna have snows, come on, commit to it.
Yeah, just crush it. If you need more, buy more packs of Modern Horizons.
Here's my 3 snow-covered forests in my mono green deck.
And with that statement, I assume that you like having all your cards facing the exact same way.
Oh
yeah, there's no reason for them to not.
If you looked at Daniel's decks, you would probably
I pile shuffle like a madman.
Yeah, literally
cards are both directions.
Like my eyes lose focus. Like I see red. Daniel's cards are upside down. Like
I hold them in my hand upside down too because it bugs
Oh my god, it's so annoying.
I hate it.
But I could make an entire 60-minute episode about that. But so I really need to get off that topic because I'm just like triggered. What this episode actually is it's a deck tech about the couple of the partner commanders from the Ikoria commander decks that we actually didn't touch on when we did our little series about them.
Yeah, we never got to these.
Yeah, but Zach has Yannik and Nikara deck that we thought would be an awesome intro to Zach's deck building brain.
Yeah, Zach really likes the Abzan colors.
Yeah.
Like I've said,
Abzan rules.
I build it the least out of everything. Out of every deck, I only have one.
It's my absolute favorite color pairing. Like I always really like
say your abs.
We're so punny here.
I always really like Golgari, and it wasn't.
Tell me about it.
I was playing with Skullbriar for the longest time as like one of my better built decks, and then like I got to play with Carador, and at the time I just didn't understand a lot of the interactions with Carador, and then as I started to become better at Magic and become better at deck brewing, I was just like, Abzan has everything that I want. I get to play with all the cool angels. I get to play out of the graveyard. I get to do like incidental life gain. So that's kind of what happened. And like I built this partner deck because I'm doing kind of a thing on my own where I've built so many Abzan decks over the years, and with just being a commander player, you know, I've traded a lot, I've moved a lot of cards around, and I miss those decks. So I'm re-putting together, like I have my complete Carador deck. I now have my partner's deck here, and then I'm about to re-up on one of my other partner decks, which was Timna and Ikra Shidiki.
Yeah.
And they're all vastly different. And I think that's what's kind of cool is like I'm doing this little series on my own where while the colors do a lot of good, like a lot of the same things, a lot of the decks are going to do the same things, they all want vastly different things.
Love that. I'm into that. And I think that really like speaks a lot to you as like a deck builder. I think it's really interesting that you're setting yourself these like parameters that you want to hit. I don't know. I think it's really cool. I'm also trying to do that. And I think it's like fun, you know, to have like this, like, I want to do this thing.
I just get kind of bored, and like I'm sure Dan can attest to this. When you've been playing and you have just the collection to be able to do it, like, you know, why not at this point? Like I really miss having these decks together. Why not just be able to set down my archive and have 4 different Abzan decks?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't sound like a bad time game.
Also, just so you know, Zach, because you aren't physically in the room with us because you literally don't live here, Daniel was just holding up the tiny bones that I found for him above his head, like it
was Simba.
So
I do also feel the same way. I build so many different kind of decks, and even my Izzet decks, they're all very different. My Niv Mizzet to my Riel deck are vastly different ones, and they both do rely on draw themes. Yes, Hope, I understand. I enjoy your puns.
I hate myself. Okay.
But yeah, so a really quick thing for anyone who doesn't know what partner is, if you're just listening to a new one, partner is possibly one of my favorite mechanics for Commander. It started with the initial decks that had just partner, and you could match them with anything that had partner. That's where Timna and Ikra Shidiki come in. They can be partnered with anyone. You can do it with Vile Smasher, Thrasios.
Yeah, as long as both creatures had partners.
Yeah.
These ones are partner with specific things, similar to the Battle Bond stuff.
Yeah, because partner became... They never intended for they never intended for those decks to be that way, and it opened up too many combinations. So now they've come up with partner with, and for partner with, it's always partner with, like Shabraz partners with Braylon.
Yeah, and in this exact example, Yannik Scavenging Sentinel partners with Nikara Lair Scavenger, and to that end, we should probably touch on what they do.
Yeah, so I'll let Zach take it away. Zach, let us know about Nikara.
Okay, cool. Nikara Lair Scavenger is 2 and a black for a legendary human cleric. They're a 2/2, and they partner with Yannik Scavenging Sentinel, like we were just discussing. They have Menace, and whenever another creature you can... Menace.
No.
Menace? What
is this Menace?
What is Menace?
Do you mean Menace?
Yeah, they all call it Menace.
Oh, God. They have Menace.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to humor me, Zach. That's for the people.
I feel like I have to.
That's for the people out there. Sorry, it has Menace and...
And whenever another creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had one or more counters on it, you draw a card and you lose 1 life.
Oh my god. In Ikoria?
Yeah.
Stop.
Mm-hmm.
And its
and
partner.
that's what's really cool too. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, actually, no. Go on about that one.
That's what I really like about this. This commander specifically, with it being 2 and a black, is already really nice. It means it's much easier to cast since we're not having to worry about more than 1 color. But the fact that it says leaves the battlefield, if it had 1 or more counters, you get to draw a card. So it doesn't care if it's exiled, doesn't care if it's destroyed, doesn't care if you sacrifice it, so long as it leaves the battlefield. So any kind of flicker shenanigans or anything like that, you're going to get this incidental card draw off of it. Granted, you lose the 1 life, but we're playing Abzan. Life loss is not a big deal.
Yeah, life means nothing.
Yeah, especially with white in there.
Yeah, life means nothing.
Life is just a resource. Any deck I build,
big mood.
Life is just a resource.
Yes. We preaching to the choir, my guy.
And so we have then the partner, Yannik, Scavenging Sentinel, which is a 2, a green, and a white. Legendary creature, Hyena Beast.
So cute.
Yeah, it's carrying its little mace.
So cute.
So, this one partners with Nikara, Lair Scavenger, has Vigilance, and when Yannik Scavenging Sentinel enters the battlefield, exile another creature you control until Yannik leaves the battlefield. When you do, distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures, where X is the exiled creature's power.
Yo, if you could just go like bing, 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 bounce and bounce.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeet.
The amount of tokens.
Yeet.
So Zach, quickly take us through like what the theme of the deck is. Obviously.
Oh, sorry, it's a 3/3, by the way.
Yeah. Get it together, Brian.
I know, right?
So we're in Abzan. Really throw a couple of disclaimers out there. This deck is very centered around +1/+1 counter matters. With this deck, you can go in a lot of different directions. You can do a huge flicker package. You could do a huge reanimation package. There's a lot of different things you can do.
Telling me about your huge packages.
Yeah, the packages are just huge.
Yeah.
But
big
there's a lot
options.
of different ways you could build these two. I specifically, with like how I'm building these Abzan decks and these specific parameters, I already had I had a deck that cared about reanimation. I had a deck that cared about life gain and flicker. So I really wanted to focus on the +1/+1.
Oh, the counters theme?
Yeah, I specifically wanted to focus on the counters. I built a lot of Sultai and Selesnya counter matter deck, but never an Abzan. So for me, that was really interesting. So with this deck, we're just wanting to amass a ton of counters, whether it be +1/+1 counters. There are some keyword counters, but mainly I wanted to make our army huge. So that's what this deck is going to care about primarily, is growing our creatures as quickly as possible.
So are you looking to flood the board with creatures and then put +1/+1 counters on them, or do you like typically try to have maybe like 2 or 3 creatures that you just try to get huge?
From a lot of with a lot of how this deck is going to work, there's just so much incidental value. Like, I've tried to make it to where if you play a creature, you're getting a counter on that creature immediately, and if you play another creature, both of those creatures are going to get counters. So as your army gets wider, it's also going to get larger. It's kind of the best of both worlds.
Very
it's kind
Cathar's Crusade.
Yeah, well, Cathar's Crusade,
exactly.
Bloodsport Renax, like...
It's what you want to see in white typically with, your little guys and having a ton of them, but it gives you that nice green aspect of, well, they're not little anymore. And the black is just going to give us a lot of recursion and a lot of, like, sacrifice outlets and the utility that the other 2 colors typically don't have.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the beautiful thing about Abzan, is you get all the glory of tokens and 1/1s out of the Selesnya colors with all the sweet fun of murder. So,
Yannik is getting to eat many things.
That's true.
Yum.
So take us through we'll start with creatures, I think, here.
Creatures.
Yeah, so you have you have yours organized a lot better than we organize our deck list, but we'll go with just your base creatures first, and then what gives you your counters.
Where are they?
Okay, so if you're at home following along, or you ever look at any of my deck text in the future, I always make these little sections. Everything will make sense when you look at it. So we're looking at creatures right now. I have 6 just what I consider normal creatures that don't really they function well in the deck, and they do a lot of different things, but these are going to be creatures that are going to kind of be our +1/+1 counter lords in a way. So we have the 3 different Abzan creatures that came out of the Khans block that'll give us different abilities. Like Abzan Battle Priest will give all of our creatures with a +1/+1 counter lifelink. Abzan Falconer will give all of our creatures with +1/+1 counter flying. And Mer-Eek Nightblade will give all of our creatures with a +1/+1 counter death touch. So that kind of goes into, if we're growing our board with counters, I want to make either my creatures hard to block, they're going to trade more favorably, or I'm just going to get life gain, to keep us in the game longer.
What?
I have never seen these creatures before.
They're in my Atraxa deck.
I have never seen your Atraxa deck before.
Really?
Yes.
Are you playing them tomorrow? Tonight?
Yes, I am.
Maybe Hope will play it. I personally, I just got to say, I love the idea of 1/1 counter lords. Just things that are dedicated to putting on. Like, I know Hope's excited because Hope loves to take 30-minute turns and put dice on things.
Sure do.
But
this is the deck for you.
Yeah.
Hey, my guy, we're not so different, you and I, Zach.
Well, and looking at it, like even just everything with a 1/1 counter on it having flying, the Yannik is going to get so big so quickly with its basically semi-devour mechanic when it comes in that it's going to really smash. And if it hits flying, that's not good. Well, not good for enemies.
Or just death touch. Like
death touch is, well, it's so valuable, and especially if you in white, we all know you can make small creatures, and those small creatures having death touch is a nightmare.
Yeah, it is. Especially if there's quite a few, and especially having the ability to oh my god, branching evolution and doubling season, because it was just reprinted, and just go really, really hard, really, really fast, and just slap people right in the face.
Looking at your other 1/1 lords, we have Champion of Lampholt, which is just an auto include in any deck that can pump its power up with tokens, with anthems, whatever. It's 1 green for a 1/1 human warrior. Creatures with power less than it can't block creatures you control, and whenever another creature enters, you get a 1/1 counter on it. It just thematically goes so well with this deck, and it basically is it's your unblockable one. The next one I'm going to get Brian to read the next one, because this is Brian's wheelhouse. The Ivory Tusk Fortress, Brian. You go ahead.
Yeah, so Ivory Tusk Fortress. Oh, it's an elephant.
It's a Belafonte.
Yeah, it costs 2, a white, a black, and a green. And untap each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it during each other player's untap step. Okay.
That was the sound of Brian. Sorry, skipping a beat. Brian's making this deck.
This is right up my alley with the Seedborn Muse.
Seedborn?
Yeah, right?
Seedborn elephant. No way, no way.
Where do I buy all of those that are in the city?
And
it is 25 cents too.
Well, and even just looking at these first ones, these are cards you're not going to see in an average EDH pile. You don't see these commonly, but they all function so well just on their face, what they do so well. And sorry, tongue-tied. I'm too excited about this. They all function so well with the commanders themselves, but even if your commanders aren't out, just the ability for any of these to go off is exciting. The untap is crazy.
I think that also is a mark of a well-crafted deck, is that yes, obviously the commanders are important, and I think that commanders should be important. And but the fact that the deck doesn't rely on them, the fact that the deck can still absolutely crush with or without them, I think it's
we're all looking at this deck live. We didn't review it before. Zach obviously knows what's in it. We don't.
Didoy.
I'm gonna build this deck. This deck looks killer.
Well, I think that was kind of exciting. I want to see I want to learn more about Zach through the lens of his decks, and I think that that's really cool.
So out of the 6 creatures, well, we haven't even finished.
Noted.
Yep.
But out of the 6 creatures here, I've only seen one of these before.
Really?
The Champion of Lampholt.
Wow.
Because I played it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I haven't.
Because me.
Yeah, exactly, right? But I haven't played against any of these +1/+1 lords. I had no idea they existed.
Yeah.
Well, and all of these are just not that budget is a big concern of every player, but these are all very budget options. these lords equal $5.28.
Yeah, if you're looking for 3 colors straight up, just like ask your LGS to let you flip through the cons block and also the Alara block, and you'll be happy boys and girls.
I'll talk to you guys later.
The last one in this one is Pelt Collector. Whenever another creature you control enters or dies, if that creature's power is greater than Pelt Collector, put a 1/1 counter on it, and as long as it has 3 or more 1 counters on it, it has Trample.
Which is awesome. And this is a 1-drop.
Yep.
So, and especially with having the commanders have the value of like when they leave the battlefield. So if they do end up dying, you know, in addition to having like a sack outlet potential in black, and then having the Pelt Collector get bigger due to that, like it's just the synergy is very real, and I can already tell. I'm very excited.
You'll be able to commander damage kill people very easily in a deck like this for sure.
Yeah. Or just
and what I really like about it too is Yannik typically seems like the easy commander to like commander damage people out, but with the kind of synergies that I'm running in the deck, Nikara is also very viable to just take someone out of the game.
Yep.
Just
Totally.
even if you only got to the point where you just made her large, Menace is still something to be like concerned about.
Yeah, I was going to say you can't underestimate Menace at any point because it's really hits.
Yeah, that is like such that mechanic is no joke, and it's super underplayed in general, and like not a lot of people deal with it, so like they're not like prepared to deal with it often.
It's very easy to forget something has Menace, and I have a blocker.
Yeah.
Oh well, that's not enough.
That's
Especially
crazy.
when we call it Menace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are
Menace.
you talking about again?
Well, Brian did that like a month ago or whatever. Like
with Trin.
Yeah, with Trin and Silvar, because Silvar has Menace, and Brian was like all happy. What were you playing? Is it Cathril? Is that the one that gets all the abilities? Yeah. He's playing Cathril, and he was all excited.
It was
he's like,
huge.
It gets this and this, and it's this big, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna swing at you with Silvar, and he's like, okay, I'll block it. I'm like, you won't. Is the thing. That's crazy.
I'm so sorry to tell you, my friend, but that will not be happening.
It absolutely will not. But yeah, Menace is something that gets super like under people's radar, and I think it's quite dope.
So let's talk a little bit about what actually makes the counters in this deck, Zach.
Let's do it.
Okay, so for this section, there's quite a few different things that create counters. So like I said, I'm a very like I come from playing Commander from the very beginning. So when some of these cards got reprinted in Double Masters, I was like, these might not be the most ideal cards to put in. Yeah, there might be better cards, but these were cards that just like spoke to me. Like, man, I have a foil Vishkal. I want to put it in this deck. So that's just kind of like a heads up. Some of these cards are very interchangeable, but these are the ones that I picked for various reasons.
Yeah.
So, where do I want to? I guess I'll just start at the top, and then you guys can kind of decide when you want to jump in.
Yo, you're just really living that sweet cons block, hey?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Cons is going to be your best friend when it comes to counters, especially in Abzan. So the first card is Anafenza, Kintree Spirit. It's a white for a legendary creature, Spirit Soldier. There are 2/2. It says whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you bolster one. If you don't know what bolster is, you choose a creature with the least toughness among creatures you control and put a +1/+1 counter on it.
It is so dope.
Yeah, it's incidental value, and what's really cool is as Anafenza or your board gets larger, Anafenza is still checking to see every time you play a creature. So even if like your board becomes like full of 10/10s, it's still
something
gonna,
is now an 11/11.
Yep,
exactly. So you're always going to get some kind of value off of Anafenza. So that's why they're in the deck. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to butcher this name, but
let me take it. This is the least creatively named Planeswalker, Basriket, the Amonkhet Planeswalker.
Who was that from?
That was just one of the memes that it was a meme of Dwight from The Office, and it's just like, your Amonkhet Planeswalker is named Basriket. Yes. Basriket is 1 white for a legendary Planeswalker that starts at 3 loyalty. He has a +1, put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. It gains indestructible until end of turn.
Which we love.
This is an amazing thing to swing with a big creature.
That could be a flipping game ender for someone.
Or, to not even just for that, if you have something like a Champion of Lamphold that you need to protect, that's just such a great +1. The ability to basically be protected from instants on your turn from that is amazing, and from blocking. It's -2 whenever one or more non-token creatures attack this turn. Create that many 1/1 white soldiers that are tapped and attacking. So it's got a really cool token-based effect. It can, from the start, protect itself pretty much. And it's -6 as you get an emblem with at the beginning of combat on your turn. Create a 1/1 soldier, then put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control.
Then put it on. That's insane.
Yeah, so the fact that it's like a Cathar's Crusade with token creation is just awesome.
Yeah, I was really excited about this Planeswalker. Like, I normally don't like playing Planeswalkers in Commander specifically because I feel like a lot of the time, unless they're like very specific to the theme you're doing, they're just too big of targets. They're too easy to interact with and deal with. But Basri Kite is just it's way too much value. It's way too good to pass up on.
And I guess when it comes to Bastard Cat, the one thing that kind of confuses me, because you can only use the Planeswalker's abilities and sorcery speeds, correct?
Yeah.
So how do you use the -2 ability when...
You do it first, so you do it, and then when you attack this turn.
main phase.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense, because it kind of just seems like something that it has to happen at the attack.
Yeah.
No. Pre-combat main phase. You have to do it preemptively.
Okay.
Is what it is.
The next one on the list is Basri's Lieutenant. It's 3 and a white for a 3/4 human knight. Vigilance, protection from multicolored. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. So great. When it or another creature you control dies, if it had a 1/1 on it, create a 2/2 white knight with vigilance. So that's awesome.
Yeah, which is, and again, like with having the sacrifice and whatever as another theme in this deck, and wanting things to die and wanting things to leave the battlefield.
Yep.
It makes sense that you would get the value out of this. So something dies, but then you still get a knight, you know?
Well, it's a bad board wipe threatened, too, because if you
dies, like, who cares?
Well, no, it's when it or another creature you control dies. If they have a 1/1 on it, create that many. So if you board wipe Zach, and he has 20 creatures out, you've just made 22 2s with Vigilance.
At least.
And if he has Cathar's Crusade out, you shuffle up and get the next game going.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
and there's something to be said, too, about it having protection from multicolored.
It's kind of a
nombo. Like, that's kind of a nombo with Yannik, but it's still, like, it's so important in our format, especially because there's so many multicolor threats. Like, it's just nice to have, like, a creature like this with just the incidental value of I can block a ton of the scary things in our format.
Yep. Or just blast through them.
Yeah, that too.
And because, like, it's not to be undersold that this has vigilance.
Yep.
So
Bloodsport Thrinax is likely one of the best token generation creatures.
I love it. And I also run it in my Attracted deck. Like I said, we're not so different, you and me, Zach.
It having a reprint recently was one of the most needed reprints, I would say, for that. Like, it was so hard to find. So it's 2 green for a 2/2 lizard. Very simple. Devour 1. It can eat tokens when it comes in, and it comes in with that many 1/1s. Each other creature you control enters with an additional X 1/1s on it, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on Bloodsport Thrinax.
Yep.
That's very strong.
But that's the thing, like, with this guy coming in, you don't have to just devour one creature.
Yeah, you can devour whatever.
Devour all of them, so if all of those creatures die and those other cards are out, I'm getting in more 2/2s, and then they're
and they all
enter
have
in
20/20.
And then they're all coming in with the X+1. Like,
they'd be a real big.
Heck yeah, Bucko.
Wow, this synergy that I'm seeing here.
Carrion Feeder, I assume it's a sack outlet also to put 1/1 counters on things.
Carrion Feeder is probably one of my favorite zombies, because this is when I started playing Magic back in the Scourge or Onslaught block. Like, love it.
Cathar's Crusade, obviously, for something like this. Whenever a creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. That is just a bonkers effect.
Oh, yeah. And this is like my bread and butter right here, because this is how I try to win with my Savala deck. Just, all your guys are 1/1s, but all mine are getting all these +1/+1s.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right?
You have Good Fortune Unicorn, which basically gives all of your creatures an ETB of a 1/1 counter. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, Zach, I'm really liking this too. I might have to just join the boat with Dan and build this as well.
Yeah.
You see how, like, why it took me so long to narrow my list down?
Oh, it's
like,
so hard. There's so many good cards in these colors, especially for this theme. It's just like, I love it.
Looking through it, I already know my kind of changes for it, but I love this list.
Looking through it, I already know how I would do it, because my way's a better way.
My way's not better.
No, I know. I'm just teasing.
With Blackjack,
Yeah, I'm just teasing.
Anyways, Juniper Order Ranger is really good. Whenever another creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on it, and then Juniper Order Ranger. So it gets immense.
It does. The Loyal Guardian is a Rhinoceros with Lieutenant. It's 4 and a green for a 4/4, but it's got trample. Like I said, it has Lieutenant. So at the beginning of combat, on your turn, if you control your commander, you put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, and it's your commander. You can only need to be controlling one.
Yeah, you don't need to. It's not commanders.
So,
that's also such a good benefit of partners. Is all the lieutenant and all of the if you control your commander, you may cast.
Or what's that card that's like it's white, right? And it's like if you like however many times you cast your commander, like it gets that many. Yeah. Oof.
Do this card.
I don't blame you. This is beautiful artwork.
So this is Mizeric, Crawl Death Priest, 3 of black and a green for an insect shaman. It's also a legendary creature. It has flying, and whenever a player sacrifices another permanent, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Like,
so you're saying we should make Mazeric Eldrazi tribal. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. It's insane because like
I just saw Brian's brain break.
Like, it's just a nuts card because there's so much incidental value that you just get from this being on the board because everyone plays Evolving Wild.
I was going to say someone cracking Terramorphic Expanse just buffs all your creatures.
Expanse.
My brain isn't working.
Well, even like if you're forcing them to sacrifice, is it another player? A player. So even if you're sacrificing your own stuff, that's beautiful. Well, and so many people run things like an Ashnods or Phyrexian Altar, like all, you know what I mean? Like it's so easy to just like take advantage of other people's like mechanics in their own deck.
Weaknesses.
And I could see this really like my Muldrotha deck backfiring against this card because I'm like, I'll just bring back my Terramorphic Expanse or Evolving Wild. I will sacrifice that.
Me trying to go off with infinite Lion Eye Diamonds casts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
His cards being 5,000, 5,000s.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Is like it's just incidental things. Like I said, cracking any fetches, like something that every deck does. Even monocolor decks are going to play fetches to thin out their deck. Like if this is on the field, you just get value off of people wanting to play the game, and it's not oppressive. Like. It's not like a stacks piece or anything. It's just
not
like,
oppressive.
I mean, it's scary. I'll say that much.
I gotta say, the flavor text on this card is just wonderful. The clicks and buzz of the Undercity proclaim him the incarnation of decay.
Heavy metal.
I can get a sentence like that out, but I cannot say Terramorphic Expanse.
Terramorphic.
So the next card that we have up here is Mikaeus the Lunarch? Lunarch,
yes.
Yeah, weird. Well, it is X and 1 and is a legendary creature, human cleric. Mikaeus the something enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. You can tap to put a +1/+1 counter on Mikaeus, or you can tap him and remove a +1/+1 counter from Mikaeus and put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. Okay, I'm really seeing the synergy that's going on here, and I don't like it.
Mikaeus is super good.
Path of Discovery is our next one, and again, it's another ETB thing. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it explores. So for anyone who doesn't know Explore, reveal the top card of your library. Put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, put a 1/1 counter on that creature, then put it back or put it in your graveyard. So it gives you a semi-scry. Kind of shows everyone shows everyone what's in your hand or what's coming up. But it is really good land ramp or token generation on the entrance. I'm very tired today.
But Dan, it's almost noon.
I got back up at like 3 a.m.
Oof.
I'm too old.
Pledge of Unity has a Johnny on it. I don't care what it does, but I like it. It's 1 green white. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. You gain 1 life for each creature you control.
What?
Can I also read the flavor text because I love it and I miss my sweet new like lawful good Gideon.
Hit it.
No one hero will save this day. Today we must all be heroes. Gideon Jura is obviously from War of the Spark.
War of the Spark is so good.
And what's really cool about this card is it's an instant.
Yeah, it's so fast.
I love it.
I'm claiming this next card because it's a cat.
I figured you would.
He looks so proud.
Yeah, Pride Malkin. Oh yeah, he just looks super like.
He looks proud.
Look at me and give me pets. It is 2 and a green creature cat, and whenever Pride Malkin enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Each creature you control with a +1. Oh, gross! Has trample.
Yeah.
Real good.
Yeah, that is real good.
The picture definitely underplays.
But it makes counters.
The picture definitely underplays the seriousness of the card.
Yeah. Like, here's this really cute cat, but hey, all your other big creatures now have trample.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Like, look at how, wow, he's so cute. It's just it's a 3 cost for a 2/1.
Yeah, ignore it. Ignore it.
Scavenging Ooze is next. 1 and a green. 2/2 Ooze. Pay 1 green, exile target card from a graveyard. If it's a creature, put a 1 counter on it, and you gain a life.
I can see how you're gaining your life back from like the other stuff.
From losing
exactly.
it,
yeah.
Like life is something to be used and abused, baby.
Yeah, sure is.
Vigor's the next. 3 triple green for an elemental with trample 6/6. If damage would be dealt to another creature you control, prevent it. Amazing. Put a 1/1 counter on that creature for each 1/1 damage prevented this way, and when it's put into the graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it into the library.
That's so good.
It's a very good card.
It's silly.
And I'll let you take this one because you said you were excited about him in foil.
Yeah, so it was really cool. It's Vishkal, Blood Arbiter, 4 white, black for a 5/5 legendary creature vampire, flying and lifelink. You can sacrifice a creature to put X +1/+1 counters on Vishkal, where X is the sacrifice creature's power, and then you can remove all +1/+1 counters from Vishkal, and target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each +1/+1 counter removed this way. So
really good removal.
Well, and a good way to get around like indestructible and stuff.
Yep.
Exactly, it's good
That's
removal. There's also the incidental life gain. If someone's trying to target something that you don't necessarily like want to be exiled, you can always sacrifice that creature to Vishkal to put counters on it. It's good, and like I said, it harkens back to like my earlier times with Commander. Double Masters really made me nostalgic for a lot of like my older decks, and Vishkal I think was in the second Commander printings, so I got to play with this one as well, and I thought the card was cool, and the art is so neat.
It is super neat. He does look like a bad MF.
Yeah, he looks more like a demon than a vampire to me, but
yeah, but he's pretty cool. I'm into him.
To each their own. Don't judge.
He also looks like he's just like waiting for somebody to like bring him like a human sacrifice, and I really am into that.
I was gonna say that's how I sit on the couch after work.
I mean, that's how you. That is accurate.
Me asking Hope for water.
Daniel, hungry.
That is a good way to put counters on, but if there was a way to increase the counters, what would we do?
You could play the best card in the deck probably, which is the Ozolith. It's a 1-cost legendary artifact. This card, I have to explain
MVP.
this.
One second, I'm sorry, I've just got to... It deserves it. It deserves it. The Ozolith is one of the best cards printed, in my opinion.
It's absolutely insane. There are so many different interactions in this deck that I didn't realize I had until I was like making my little like deck tech here and like looking at them. So the Ozolith says whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put the counters on the Ozolith. Then at the beginning of combat on your turn, if the Ozolith has counters on it, you may move all counters from Ozolith onto that creature.
And
so
it's a 1-drop.
Yeah, it's a 1-drop artifact.
This is honestly, in every one of the partners that were available in these Ikoria decks, this is an amazing card. And this is an amazing card in so many decks. Like, Animar is great with this, Atrax is great with this. The Ozolith is just, it's so valuable to Commander players. Like this, they were thinking of Commander players with this in hand. This with Skullbriar, could you imagine?
You just get to reuse your counters again. Like, well, I'm going to blow up your big 2020. Okay, well, I'm going to move all those 19 +1/+1 counters.
Well, and the other thing too, though, is that like you don't have to do it. You don't do it until combat.
Mm-hmm.
So like you already entered combat, and then it happens. It's not like you have to do it in your main phase. It's not like you have to do it in your upkeep. It's not, you know what I mean? Like it puts you in like a position that's like if somebody tries to like mess with you, it just like doesn't matter. Like
What's
all
awesome
those counters leave your commanders, and then you put them back into play, and it's like, there you go, they're back.
What's awesome is that it says counters. So like we had a bunch of keyword counters come out in Ikoria.
Exactly.
So if like I didn't put them in here, but they were definitely in my first like iteration of this deck where I had creatures that,
got
gave
flying counters.
counters.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So those will also transfer to the Ozolith. But
my guy, you're speaking my language and it hurts me.
You're spitting the fire that Hope likes.
You're just like, I can't even like explain how what you're saying makes me feel, but it's making me feel some kind of way.
So I wanted to read this next card and then explain the interaction. So Rayhan, Last of the Abzan, is 1, a black and a green for a legendary creature, human warrior. They come in as a 0/0, but when they enter with 3+1/+1 counters. Whenever a creature you control dies or is put into the command zone, if it had 1 or more +1/+1 counters on it, you can put that many +1/+1 counters on target creature. And it has the partner command or mechanic. We're ignoring the partner command.
Mechanic.
For this commander. I can't say
Commandic?
it. What's really... Yeah.
This is a show about building decks, not speaking well.
So what's really cool is if you happen to have the Ozolith and Rayhan on the battlefield at the same time, whenever a creature was to die, you get all those counters on both things.
Death's Presence would work the same way too, and
Double
you'd
it.
get another one.
Double it again.
I would, yeah.
So
if
I
a
just didn't
2020
realize it worked that way.
Oh yeah,
And then I started like,
if a 2020 leaves the field, 20 onto Ozolith, 20 onto whatever creature you want, and then you go to combat and bonk someone.
Swing for lay 40.
Yeah.
and like that's the kind of spirit of Commander, that's like kind of what you want to do. You want these like interactions because like from what I've learned, and I'm sure you guys have experienced too, when you're building like in such a synergistic manner, you're going to have cards that just inevitably will do like absurdly silly things.
Weird stuff that they were never supposed to do.
Well, and honestly, in Commander, the thing that makes it, in my opinion, the most fun format is these enormous explosive plays where suddenly like you're going from just you're in a good position and now all of a sudden exactly Rayhan's triggering, Ozolith is triggering, and even with nothing else on the field except for your if you go with Yannik, like they work so well together and you can just make them enormous. The ability to transfer them over onto Champion of Lamphold, for instance, like that's crazy.
Yeah, then nothing can be blocked,
and then make it
indestructible with Master Cat.
Yeah,
my guy, get out of my brain, Brian. Stop.
So I kind of went out of order because I had to talk about those two cards first. I've been way too excited to not talk about
they're
those.
so good.
So if you guys want to,
don't worry. I almost started talking about the Ozolith before you started talking about the Commanders.
Oh my god, one of my favorite cards in Magic is in this deck. I love it. 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 It is Corpsejack Menace. It's 2 in Golgari, so 1 black, 1 green. For a 4/4, it's a creature fungus. If 1 or more 1/1 counters will be put onto a creature you control, you put twice that many instead.
Mini doubling season.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Corpsejack was great when I was playing Standard as well. Like this one, just it changed the way the decks were built and everything like that.
Yeah.
And they just, I'm really excited to play against this deck. Like it is looking super fun.
I cannot begin to tell you how much fun I've had building this deck.
Well, even like another one that I really like in this is Conclave Mentor, and it's just Celestia colors, and it's kind of like a mini Hardened Scales on a creature. So it's if 1 or more 1/1 counters be put on a creature, you can only put that many plus 1 instead. But also, when it dies, you gain life equal to its power.
That is a very strong effect. Honestly, Celestia has really cool token abilities in here.
And counter abilities.
Yeah.
And life gain abilities.
Hardened Scales is another one.
Celestia is the best.
1 drop, if a 1/1 would be put on it, that many +1 are put on it instead. That's great.
And then, of course, we have a sweet, sweet doubling season.
Yeah.
Obviously. So a doubling season, for anybody that doesn't know, it's 4 and a green. It's an enchantment. If an effect will put 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many instead. If it would put 1/1 counters, you put twice that many instead.
And if you're looking at this, obviously every card that you see on here is the version that I'm actually playing. These are what are in my personal deck, and I love this version of Doubling Season more than any of the other art.
The
I know
Battle
it doesn't
Bond.
really
The
show
Battle
much
Bond
of-
Wrong.
You're speaking blasphemy to Brian with his new one, but
the Battle Bond one is the best one.
Wrong.
No.
Fight me.
The box topper one.
Okay. Yeah.
Please at me.
I
I will literally stab you, Brian.
Dinosaurs. I just am not a huge fan of that art.
Here's the thing. I like
this art
dinosaurs too,
personally.
but yeah, that box topper art, I think it's so stupid and I hate it.
Oh, these people are wrong.
I don't know what you're talking about. We live here in Alberta with all of the dinosaurs around us.
Oh my god, speaking of dinosaurs. So, yeah, a couple days ago, talking to Daniel, he didn't have a favorite dinosaur. I'm like, how? Yeah.
Mine was the baby.
How do you not have a favorite dinosaur? Dinosaurs rule. Because it was just like when you become an adult, nobody asks you what your favorite dinosaur is anymore. And I'm like, duh, Ankylosaurus. And I asked Daniel, I was like, what?
Same here.
And then I asked Daniel, I was like, what's your favorite dinosaur? He's like, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know?
Daniel likes like the dick dinosaur, so he's like the Dilophosaurus.
Yeah.
Spit in people's faces.
My favorite dinosaur, Sherman.
What's your favorite dinosaur, Zach?
Yeah.
I honestly really like, as dumb as it sounds, like I like Velociraptors.
That's not dumb.
No,
you can have your favorite just because it's like quote unquote like popular doesn't mean that it's not good.
So you had a field in front of my house that had long grass. Didn't go in there after watching Jurassic Park.
Big mood.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're so cool, and like how they've been popularized in media is also really funny because it's made them much larger than what they were actually.
Yeah,
so
they're just little babies.
It's fun. Like, I think it's cool.
So back to topic.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hope is apparently very excited about dinosaurs.
Hi, it's Dinosaur Cast with your host Hope
We're gonna
and friends.
We're gonna get into some of the removal.
Not the mama.
Abzan charm. I love all the charms with their choose one. I said Hope. I love all the choose one abilities. The different modes are great. Exile target creature with power 3 or greater. Awesome. You draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Pretty good.
Less
Distribute
awesome.
2/1/1 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures. Very good.
Oh, all of the charms are fantastic.
Yep.
They're so charming.
When I'm going through my collection, if I find one of the charms, I take it out and I put it, like, I leave it aside because I know that I'll use it.
Yeah. Beast Within is another
Yeah,
good one.
agree.
Beast Within is probably one of the best green removal spells.
Yeah, you gift somebody a beast.
Yeah, exactly. It's Group Hug. What does this Group Hug card do?
Group
Hope?
hug how Brian plays.
Exactly. So, Beast Within is 2 and a green, and destroy target creature. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token.
Monsters dwell in every heart. We only think civilization tames them.
God, that's so heavy metal.
Yeah. You start chanting that before you blow up everyone's fields with a Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness loop, infinite mana, and they have no lands.
Nice too is if we get to a point where we want to recast Yannik from like the graveyard with one of the cards we'll go over, we can Beast Within and it's fine. Like we not only get rid of Yannik and get an ETB effect off the creature we exiled, but we also get a beast out of it. And if we have doubling season, that's 2 beasts. So there's something to be said about using it on your own creatures as well.
Beast Storm. Magister of Worth, I love the Will of the Council effect on it. I always get it backfired on me, and my creatures all die from it. It is a Orzhov Angel, 4 white-black, flying 4/4 with Will of the Council. When it enters, starting with you, each player votes for Grace or Condemnation. If Grace gets more votes, each player returns each creature card from his or her graveyard to the battlefield. If Condemnation gets most, destroy all creatures other than Magister of Worth.
Heavy metal.
Interesting. I've never seen this angel before.
Oh, it's a good one, but like I said, every time I do it,
yeah.
everyone's just like, I'll just destroy everything, and I'm just sad.
So it's kind of a pet card of mine. I really like RK Post. He's probably my favorite Magic artist now. And as soon as I saw this, I was like, I have a place I can actually play this card, and it's viable because like it can go under Yannik very well, and that's 4 counters. And once Yannik leaves, then we have an ETB effect. You know, like I've never been in a position where bringing back the entire grave, like everyone's graveyards, has ever been bad for me. Like,
yeah, that's valid.
There's so many ETBs in this deck and cares about how things stack that like you bringing back your entire yard is going to be problematic. And even if like everyone decides they're going to, you know, we're just going to destroy everything, you're still left with a 4/4 angel. Most likely it's going to be bigger than that because of how the deck operates.
Well, and the other thing too is like you're an Abzan color, so if you really wanted to, if everybody decides to bring everything back, you can also stack all of your stuff with ETBs in response probably,
Yep.
and then bring them all back. So
Yeah, it's very fun.
The
I'm here for
Mythos
you.
of Nethri is really, really good too. 2 and a black for an instant. Destroy target non-land permanent if it's a creature, or this one's always been worded badly.
Or if you spend Abzan to cast it. So if you spend the Abzan colors to cast it, then you can destroy any non-land permanent. If you just spend 2 of whatever and the black, then you can destroy a non-land permanent if it's a creature.
Yeah. Path to Exile, amazing card.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, again, anyone who doesn't know, Path to Exile, 1 white, exile target creature. They search for a basic land and put it onto the battlefield tapped, shuffle.
And the next one, I'm going to have to get this.
Oh yeah, it's a really
Sylvan
good one.
Reclamation, 3 green and a white, and it's an instant. And exile up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. And then if you don't really want to cast it does have basic land cycling where it's 2 colorless. And you can go fetch a basic land.
Well,
It's a very good utility card.
Well, we've said it a bazillion times. Like, having more removal is super important, and also enchantment removal is super important.
Enchantment exile as well, because there's so many decks that run the gods. Like, you want to get rid of Brian's Perforos and Zeros with something like this.
I also want to get rid of his Mogus always.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
yes.
Which I'm pretty sure it has a close chance of winning.
Yeah,
Stream tonight.
Exile is also just Exile is always better than Destroy. Like, it's so good.
Oh yeah. If I can switch out a Destroyer with an Exile ability, I always
do.
Yeah, always.
Terastodon is a bully.
Yeah, I want to take this one.
You go ahead.
Yeah, take it.
Terastodon is 6 green. It's a 9/9 elephant, and it says when Terastodon enters the battlefield, you may destroy up to 3 target non-creature permanents. For each permanent put into a graveyard this way, its controller puts a 3/3 green elephant creature token onto the battlefield.
I take it you blow up your own stuff.
You get elephants.
It's one of those cards, once again, where you can point it at your stuff or your opponent's stuff, and it's probably not going to feel bad. This also sets under Yannik very well because it's a 9/9.
Yeah.
So goes under Yannik. Suddenly you can put 9+1/+1 counters on anything, and if Yannik dies, you can revenge kill something.
I will avenge you.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. Yeah, we're going to go the ramp, pretty basic. Is there anything you want to touch on specifically in your ramp? Or?
So Incubation Druid is one that when I first saw this card spoiled, I thought it was bonkers, and it's still bonkers. It's 1 and a green for an Elf Druid. It's a 0/2. You tap to add any 1 mana of any type that a land you control could produce. If it has a +1/+1 counter on it, you add 3 instead. You can either adapt 3. You can pay 3 green to put 3 +1/+1 counters on it, or you just play the deck. And put a counter on it.
Very solid.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because I really wanted to touch on these utilities. We'll go over the very fast list of them, but like everyone should know these. They're a lot of the green staples. We have Avacyn's Pilgrim, which is the Land of War Elf for adding white mana.
White.
Bloom Tender adds mana for each color among permanents you control. A great card in general for multicolor decks. Cultivate, Elvish Mystic, Kodama's Reach, Sakura Tribe, and Sky Shroud Claim. They're the staples of basically every green deck, especially the more colors you play.
Yeah.
Fabro Elder is another one just like Bloom Tender. Gets 1/1 for each color among permanents you control and taps for it as well, but it just comes with the white and the green.
And a Soul Ring.
Yeah. But I was looking at this list, and I really want to be able to actually spend some time on the utility, so I'll get you to start the top of the utility with a card most people never see played. So exciting. It's this Cauldron of Souls, Zach.
So Cauldron of Souls is a 5-cost artifact. You can tap it, choose any number of target creatures. Each of those creatures gains Persist until end of turn. If you don't know what Persist is, it says when a creature dies, if it had no -1/-1 counters on it, return to the battlefield under its owner's control with a -1/-1 counter on it. It's one of these cards that, like Dan was saying, a lot of people don't know it exists, and it's super, super powerful.
Well, especially in
a build like this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like if you bring everything, you get board wiped. Everything dies. So you tap the Cauldron of Souls, everything gets persist and comes back. So it comes back, but if you put 1/1 counters on it, those will cancel out the negatives.
Yep.
So
state-based action will remove them, and they will still be able to be persistent.
So you'll be able to
turn.
Exactly. So board wiping you becomes next to impossible.
Yes, this will be one of the cards that has to be removed from the field to actually get anywhere.
Yeah. Because then all your creatures come back with -1/-1, but with you being able to
put so much 1/1.
If you have a Cathar's Crusade out, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, all the other creatures that give all the +1/+1 counters. Exactly. If you stack it correctly,
so easy.
Yeah. That doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Very, very good card in the deck, and that's like I said, it's a 5-cost artifact, and in this deck, it is something that has to be removed from the field. It's good in every deck, just in general. Persist is a great mechanic, but the ability for it to recur so frequently in a deck like this is terrifying.
Oh, and it's better than like giving things indestructible or something because they still die, which means they still re-enter.
Yep.
So the ETBs go off again.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll bring that Terastodon back.
Yeah, we have a bunch of ETBs. We have a bunch of those things that care about death triggers. Like, Cauldron of Souls is very, very good for this deck, and you can use it like proactively too. Like, if I have my Carrion Feeder or Vish Call out, like I can persist everything, sacrifice them to them, and it comes back.
Exactly.
There's not a situation that feels bad to Cauldron.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got distracted with some background stuff here. Conjurer's Closet is another great one for anything that can ETB. Beginning of your end step, you can exile another target creature you control and return it. A horrible card to have out if there's Terastodon. That's real bad news bears.
That's not fun at all.
Well, especially because this card is a little bit more accessible right now because I just got a reprint in Double Masters, which is white.
Yeah.
So.
Decimator of Provinces. I'll let Hope take it.
Yeah. Well, it's Eldrazi, so so it's 10 mana, which is wild for a 7/7 Eldrazi boar. It also has an emerge cost, though, which is 6 and 3 green, and what that does is you may cast a spell by sacking a creature and paying the emerge cost reduced by that creature's CMC. So it can make this a lot easier to get out, especially when you have something like the Incubation Druid. If you can tap it for like 3 green mana or something, makes it a lot easier.
Or the Terastodon and play the Decimator for 1.
Yeah. But anyways, so it makes it a lot easier. And then you couldn't play for 1 because you have to pay the mana cost, the colored.
Minus. Yeah. You can play it minus the creature CMC.
Yeah, but how would you be able... Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to get rid of that.
The creature CMC is green included. That's part of the CMC, so you can minus the green.
Oh, interesting.
Didn't know that. So when you cast it, creatures you control gain...
I could be wrong.
I think you are.
I don't believe I am.
I think you're wrong. But when you cast Decimator Provinces, creatures you control get 2/2 and gain Trample until the end of turn, and it itself has Trample and Haste.
So I put this in here because... And I'm going to stand on my soapbox for a few minutes. Obviously, I think a better version of this card would be Craterhoof Behemoth, right? Like,
so boring, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Also expensive and hard to find.
Exactly. Whereas Decimator Province is like, it's a 7/7. It goes under Yannik, like I've said, like with a lot of other cards, very well. And if you get to a point where you can sacrifice Yannik, because we're not running a whole bunch of flicker stuff like Conjurer's Closet's really it. But if you get to a point where you can bounce Yannik and this is underneath, like your board becomes so large, and you're also getting counters. You're getting 7+1/+1/+1 counters every time you do that.
Yeah.
I really like, this is another kind of pet card. When I can make it work, I make it work. And the emerge cost is something that like is helpful, especially when we want things to die in this deck. Like it's a well-rounded card, I feel, for what we're doing.
Man, speaking of wanting things to die,
I am wrong. It's generic mana.
I knew you were wrong.
Hope's right. It doesn't happen
not
often,
the first
but when
time.
she's right, she's
not the
right.
first time. Not the first time.
And then the next one that we have here is Eerie Ultimatum, which is 2 white, 3 black, and 2 green. It is a sorcery, and return any number of permanent cards with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield. So not creatures.
Any permanents. This is a great commander card.
I said it once and I'll say it again. The Absent Ultimatum, it's too strong.
It's real strong.
And it's nice because it's not target.
Yep.
Yeah, it's any number, and it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
It just do be like that.
Sometimes it do be like that.
Yeah, it just
like it do.
And the next one, Eldamiri's Call, is one of my Eladamri.
Yes.
Is one of my favorite white green spells. So again, it's a green and a white, and it's search your library for a creature card, reveal that card, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library. I love creatures.
It's a great instant. Yep. Great instant tutor.
We love a tutor.
Speaking of a tutor, this full art Grim
Tutor. I barely know her.
Grim Tutor was another great reprint. 1 black, search for any card, put it into your hand, then shuffle, you lose 2 life.
And you're saying that all the cards that are on this list are the exact versions of the cards that you're playing with?
Yep.
Very nice, Zach.
I'm very bougie sometimes. I had a bunch
it's
of
a real
trades.
good flex.
Yep.
I had a bunch of trades. I traded off like a 5-color deck that I just was not having fun doing, and I was like, I'm going to build like 4 Abzan decks, and
because you just put this one together, right?
Yeah,
and,
obviously.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was
came out.
I didn't know if he had redone it because I think he was talking earlier in the week that you were getting rid of your 5-color colorless, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So for most people, this will be the first time they see it. Anyone
5-color colorless.
Yeah, you'll have to talk to Zach about that after. That's a real cool one. Was
it a Morophon deck?
It was, yes.
Yeah. Okay, baby. Okay, I'm interested.
Phyrexian Reclamation, 1 black, pay 2, so 1 and a black and 2 life. Return target creature from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah.
This is my life motto. The flavor text. Hope, read it. Hope will find it. Give it a second.
Death is no excuse to stop working. Wow. Could you imagine if him and I went on a vacation? Wow.
This is another RK postcard, which once again, like, I love his art, but it's also a pet card of mine. I've put it in so many decks, and it was kind of expensive for being an uncommon to begin with. Mm-hmm. It's been reprinted since in mystery boosters, but it's just such a good card. Like, I think Abzan falls into this, well, really anything with black falls into this trap of having to play these are the only reanimation spells that you play because there's nothing else.
About it.
You know, but I feel like cards like Phyrexian Reclamation are super good and they fly under the radar a lot of the time. And like when I can play them, I like to. I don't feel like I'm losing out on anything by playing Phyrexian Reclamation instead of like a Reanimate or an Animate Dead.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I'd say Phyrexian Reclamation is actually kind of hard to find. Like, I've been trying to find one around the city, and I haven't.
For Yawgmoth, or?
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, Zach, you want to ship one up to Canada?
It's a good
card. Currently, all the ones I have are in decks, and I think I have 10.
Oh my god!
I think you have to help a brother out here. And,
just take those decks apart whenever you get around to it.
Yeah, if you can find one at LGS, though, let us know.
I'll let Zach do the last card of his deck here.
Yeah.
This is probably a card people don't know about, and it struck me as odd because I was going through a bunch of my like bulk, and this was in there, and I was like, I'm stupid for not having this card pulled. It's called Together Forever. It's a white enchantment. When Together Forever enters the battlefield, you support 2. You put a +1/+1 counter on each up to 2 target creatures. Then you can pay 1 colorless, choose a target creature with a counter on it. When this creature dies, return that card to its owner's hand.
It's a great card.
It's phenomenal. I feel so dumb for not knowing this card existed because it's so powerful.
Was that in one of the decks, or did that?
Oh, did you just pick it up?
Yeah.
From Daniel, right next to Daniel's recording space is also his little like deck building table, and by little I mean it's a very large desk. But he just like grabbed Together Forever, and he's just like again held it above his head like I can't see.
Together Forever is the art of Kraven Regna.
Oh, you grabbed Kraven
Regna? Yes, also very cool.
Cutie.
Yeah.
Another commander pairing that cares about counters.
Yeah. We stand.
This was originally in Battle Bond, and then it got reprinted in, I want to say, I think it might have been the Abzan Commander deck or Gavi. I can't remember which.
I feel like it would have been the Abzan one.
I think I have this. I must go take a look for it.
What, Together Forever?
Yeah.
I'm sure you do.
It's a very like unassuming card if you just kind of like flip past it, but given everything we've talked about in this deck so far, like it does exactly what you want it to do. Like you can, you don't want to recast Yannik for the 17th time, but man, you're fine with it dying and paying 1 to get it to your hand.
Yeah,
I'm completely fine.
I'd rather pay 4 than.
I did miss one section. Sorry, here, Zach. We'll quickly go through it. We'll go through the draw that you have put in the deck here fast.
Yeah, sure. I'll just go over like some of the hits, I would say. So Armorcraft Judge is 3 and a green for an elf artificer. It's a 3/3. When Armorcraft Judge enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it.
Nice.
A very good effect, yeah.
Yeah, immense card draw. Disciple of Bolus, ETBs, you sack a creature, you gain life and draw X cards where X is that creature's power. The rest are all pretty like normal, I feel like. Inspiring Call is the only other one I'll point out. It's 2 and a green for an instant. You draw a card for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it, and then those creatures gain indestructible till end of turn.
Yeah, that's a good card.
I love that one. I know all about that one.
I do also want to talk about the Momentous Fall. It is a really good. Someone's trying to remove your thing. Even if someone's trying to hit something, you have so much graveyard recursion, like we were just talking about. If someone's trying to hit you with some of that exile, you can sack it in response with this. Momentous Fall, 2 green instant. As an additional cost to cast it, sack a creature, draw equal to its power, then gain life equal to its toughness.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Very, very good to draw in general.
It like gives you an out.
Yep.
You know?
Well, and brings you some of that life back, because you are going to lose some life with your cards leaving.
Yeah. So are we on to lands? Are we going to talk about lands?
We never go through land base unless there's a specific land, because the land base, we generally assume that people are going to build their own one, and then we don't have to be like, oh, there's dual lands and there's this. It kind of leaves it a little more budget for everyone. But if there's any real big hits you like,
put in a the Triumph. So what is it? Is it Indatha?
Yeah.
So
if there's any big ones that you love.
Yeah, there's a couple I actually want to point out. So the first one is Gavany Township. It is, you tap to add 1 colorless to your mana pool, or you can pay 2 a white and a green and tap it, and you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So this is just another way for us to generate counters and for it to, pretty much be protected, because most people don't play with land hate. So this is just one that we're going to, inevitably be able to use and get counters on our things. Karn's Bastion.
I was going to say Karn's Bastion is also an awesome one, because it taps for a colorless mana, but you also have a mana sink, which is dope. And the mana sink is for 4 mana and a tap you proliferate.
It's, once again, we're in lands, and most people won't play land hate, and we're going to, benefit off that.
You have not played with Dean yet.
So there's 2 other lands. This is one of them. Mirren the Moaning Well. It's a legendary land. You can tap to add 1 mana to your mana pool, colorless, what have you. You can pay 3, tap, and you sacrifice a creature. You gain life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness. This
sort
is just
of like
another
a Diamond
situation. Valley. Yeah, we were talking about this in our Discord. I really wanted to play Diamond Valley, but I don't own Diamond Valley. For those who don't know, Diamond Valley is a land. You tap it and you sacrifice a creature, and you gain life equal to its. Is it power? Or is it toughness?
I believe it's power or toughness. I don't know which one it is.
So Mirren,
whichever's bigger.
Yes.
Yeah. Mirren does the same thing, only you're paying 3, but you also get to tap it to add a colorless. So
yeah, it's a great utility land.
Mm-hmm. And the last one I wanted to go over is Orin Reef the Vast Wood. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add a green, or you tap it and you put a +1/+1 counter on each green creature you control that enter the battlefield this turn.
Each.
So also good. I made a joke earlier talking about splitting lands between normal lands.
I was just going to say.
Land. Yeah, that's why I made the joke. I split it just because I've been seeing a lot of people we've been playing with more running, extraplanar lands and all that stuff. So I wanted to try it out in this deck to see if I'm noticing I'm getting more use out of it. Obviously, do what you want to do. I'm going to support you guys however you want to do it. This is just how I was running it.
It still looks good. I don't know everyone else's initial thoughts of the deck, but I'm going to build one of these for sure. This is an awesome deck.
I'm looking forward to playing against this.
Yeah, same here. It's going to be definitely an interesting stream
I think
tonight.
that'd be really fun. Are you going to play it tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to play it tonight.
And by tonight, I mean in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, so the
tomorrow.
episode will come out Sunday, so you'll be able to go and see how the deck actually went when the game's posted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this looks like such a fun deck to play.
Yeah. So
what I said, I still stand by. There are a lot of different ways you can build this. Like for the Abzan stuff, I know I'm missing. Like I'm not running Revel Arc. I'm not running Chromatic Guide. I'm not running Protean Hall.
But that's what makes decks like this fun, is that you're playing. You're not going to see a lot of decks like this, except for the one that I'm going to build and Brian's going to build and you're going to have. But aside from that, like, this deck is exciting to build. And when we were initially doing our thing, I looked at these commanders. Nothing about them really excited me. I wasn't super turned on by them. I was like, they're okay.
I don't want to hear about that.
And now I'm super excited to play these. Listen, Hyena's on for everyone.
Fun. I think this is what you want to see when, like, we're looking and evaluating our commanders. Who we're going to build around, who we're going to invest in. Is that, like, this deck can literally go in so many different directions. I could have went way more into, like, the flickering aspect and just running stuff like Eldrazi Displacer and Feldadar Guardian, where I'm just constantly bouncing our commanders. You could have went in a much more like recursive way where like we're just animate dead, reanimate, necromancy, that kind of stuff. This was, I just wanted to focus on the counters, and you can still build this deck with those things, more focused, but you just lose out on some of the things. Like there are some definite flex spots for, if you like this list and you want to tailor it more to how you play or want to play the deck, you don't have to run some of the stuff that I'm running, and still it'll be a solid deck. It's very synergistic.
Totally.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys check out the show notes because the deck list will be posted there.
Mm-hmm. And you can really go over it and take a minute to take it all in and, see that it's actually also quite relatively affordable.
It's not a horribly priced deck.
So,
and it's definitely cheaper than some of mine.
Yeah, and some of the stuff I'm playing, like, I just kind of want to point out that you don't have to play like Grim Tutor. I'm playing it simply because I had the means to trade for one. I didn't buy this. I'm very cheap, honestly. Like a lot of the cards I have that are expensive here are because like I was lucky to get them when I did, or
you
I bought a
cracked
box
the
and was
packs.
looking up. Yeah, exactly. I'm a very like budget oriented minded person, not intentionally, but just because like I'm married and I have a kid.
Yeah,
so like
life requires it.
The wife is like, she's super, super supportive and I love her to death. But even she's like, all right, do you really need to buy that card? So like, I try to be somewhat budget focused when I'm building these decks. And, Double Masters has really helped us with that, with a lot of these reprints.
I can't even get around that because I send the list to Hope's work. She knows exactly what I'm buying.
Benefits of having your wife work at the LGS. Benefits or hindrances.
Not only does she see what I'm spending, she's the one pulling it out of the binder, shaking her head.
It's true. That is accurate.
That's like, this is how I built the deck. If you have any questions, or if you were curious why I have something in over something else, or you just want to talk about it, like you can always at me at Necrozak.
Yeah, he's Necrozak on like everything. Necro, Nekro Zach.
Yes.
Very active in our Discord as well. If you guys are in it, come chat with us.
Yeah, if you're in it, you probably already have seen or talked to Zach. He's a pretty neat guy, if I do say so myself. To that end, yeah, you succeed. Well, again, thank you for joining us today, Zach. We're really excited to have you as a part of the team. Feel free to, for everybody listening, feel free to check out our socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, as well as our Discord. And we do stream every Saturday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so whenever that time is or isn't for you. And our episodes come out every single Sunday at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. As well, check out our website, intothe99.com, where we have all sorts of awesome content from all of our creators, including but not limited to Zach. So thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you so much, Zach. Great hearing from you, and I can't wait to play and see this deck.
Yes, I can't wait.
Yeah, thanks.
Have a great day,
everyone. Thanks for having me, guys.
Bye.